Yo, crew, welcome to the Skippy Report. Hey, crew, welcome to the Skippy Report. Second episode with a good friend way out in Eugene, Oregon, Jarl, Ski Bum, Berg. Hey, Jarl, how's it going out there in Eugene?
It's going great. All is well.
Nice.
Life is good.
Nice. So this is one of those episodes that Jarl was one of the guys who coined the term gear, beer, and anything weird. So this is going to be a gear, beer, and anything weird episode.
Cheers to that.
So Jarl and I go way back to the internet. Was it the year before you went to Norway when you were selling those T-shirts?
Oh, at least, yeah.
That'd be like 18 years ago, I think, or 19 years ago.
Crazy.
Yeah. So Jarl and I, we met that way on a website called Telemark Tips, and he was hawking his merch, and he had these wicked shirts. Said had a skier on the front, and it says the thighs are evil, they must be punished, and then on the back it said Telemark. I bought a few of those, and that's how we started our relationship. So Jarl, give us a little bit of background about where you live, how long you've lived there. Probably lived there all your life.
Exactly. I mean, it's all perspective. It depends how you look at it. But basically, I've lived here my whole life. So I'm Jarl Berg, born and raised in Eugene, Oregon. Second generation in America. My grandpa was born and raised in Norway. My grandma, I guess, technically her parents were born and raised in Norway, but then moved to America, at least on dad's side. And then mom's side's Irish and Scottish and who knows what else. So, born and raised in a ski shop. So I've been around the ski industry my whole entire life. My grandpa started the ski shop in 1955, and kind of the rest is history.
Cool. Your dad's ski shop has an interesting start, right? It wasn't always a ski shop.
It wasn't. So my grandpa first owned a gas station that he opened in 1940, which closed in 1988. But, so we had Shell Oil for almost 50 years.
Nice. Now, what is the story? You told me when I was out visiting you, going to be 3 years ago. Can you believe that? And
no, seriously.
About how your dad was a young entrepreneur. And was it your grandfather who said, hey, we should start a ski shop or something like that?
It was my grandpa. So my dad was in high school still. So he was in early teens, actually. And grandpa came home one day after going to Ashland to go visit my grandma's side of the family. They went up skiing at Mount Ashland, learned how to ski down there, and really fell in love with it. So they came back. They'd gone back and forth a few times. Grandpa finally, after the war, the government's giving grants, giving money away for people to do something active and get outside, not sit inside by the radio or TV and wait for the next war to come. Kind of like what happened with 9/11. They wanted people to get outside and do stuff. So he's like, well, let's start a ski shop. They bought the building next door, like what's called the Henderson House. It was built in the 1800s, and started a ski shop. Went to Norway and got their first order in Norway of skis. They shipped them over, and
really,
bought a rental fleet,
and your dad pretty much ran the shop, or? Well,
actually, another shop had closed in town, and so my grandpa was smart enough to hire those guys on. The other ski shop hired those guys on to come work at our shop, and then when my dad was old enough, he started working at the shop. He worked in the gas station as a kid, and then worked in the ski shop, and then once he got out of college and out of military service, well, he didn't get out of military service until like 10 years ago, but he just naturally that took us to got in the ski shop, him and his brother.
Wow, that's crazy. And when did that get started?
1955.
And it's still rocking.
Still rocking.
And
he's still there every day.
Really? And your brother pretty much runs it now?
He's involved with it.
Oh, yeah.
He's one of the boot fitters.
Cool. Now, you have to give me a little bit of background on your family, because Sean and I were talking, because you were out your nephew was snowboarding with you, and I remember in the fall when it was your dad's birthday that your other brother and he came out, and there was plans for him because of COVID just to stay out west and work in the shop or something like that.
Totally. He's doing essentially what his dad did, so which is pretty hilarious because that's how partly of the telemark story for me. He decided to quit school for a while and decided to move out west to work at the ski shop. So my brother, my middle brother, I guess, Jeff, his son Owen decided to come out here and just work the shop and kind of figure out what he's going to do with his life.
Oh, nice.
And to figure this is a great way to do it.
So you and your brother who works, I can't remember your brother's name, who works at the shop.
Sven.
So you have a brother in between you guys? I know you guys are twins, but
there's 4 of us boys.
Oh, 4. Okay.
JP is the oldest, then Jeff, then Sven, then me.
Okay.
I'm the baby.
By
how 12 minutes, but I'm the
baby. Cool.
Hey, it matters, man.
I guess so, eh? I just heard a comment on a TV program, and it was dealing with the youngest person in their family, just like yours. They had an older brother, twins, and then a baby, and they said, yeah, they made the perfect one with me, so they stopped and they broke the mold.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, we'll call it the unwanted child, but I didn't even know I was coming until the doctor said, oh, there's another one coming.
No way.
Like literally.
Didn't know your mom was pregnant with twins and didn't know she was pregnant with you.
They didn't do ultrasounds back then unless there was a problem.
Right.
There was no problem.
That's insane. That's insane.
Yep.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
All right. So a little more history here. So skiing. So it's in your blood.
Yes.
Probably started skiing when you were 2 years old.
I think my parents waited till I was 3.5 or 4.
Okay.
They waited way too long, but
right.
I tried to make up for it.
That's exactly what I was just going to say. So people who don't know Jarl, he's a huge on snow fanatic because you don't just telemark ski. You'll do whatever's out there. You've snowboarded, alpine skied. Anything else? Toboggan, sled?
I know how to skate ski. I know how to cross country ski. I have snowshoes. Ice skate. I love to ice skate. I spent a good 2 years on ice skates after school almost every day for years.
Right.
So, and then got inline skates, and then I went nuts with that for a while. I was on a speed skating team.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And so because you and I are telemark skiers, maybe you can give us a little bit of history about how you moved towards telemark skiing.
So I was a senior in high school. I was doing just enough dumb stuff on Alpine. And then my dad said, hey, we're going to this demo this year. I want you and your brother to go, but I want you to try and go out with our friend, our guru, our Nordic guru, and he's going to teach you how to telemark ski because we're going to start selling this stuff called telemark equipment next year. And I'm like, sure, it's a Norwegian thing. Okay, I've heard of it before. I think I know what it is, you know. And I went up with our Dick Bershern, who is still working from the ski shop a little bit, even though COVID has kind of shut that down, but because he's older and got some health issues. But yeah, he took me and Sven under his wing, and I was smitten from day one. I was just so enthralled with the sport and the turn. And we had an LL Bean rep there that was on like skinny cross country skis, flying through the moguls, just ripping turns. And then another one of our reps was the K2 and Bolea rep, Terry Shershaw. I mean, those guys took me under their wing and showed me the ropes and gave me some great hints on how to get going. And I went nuts. I mean, and my heart to Mike Kurlish from Black Diamond, he handed me my first telemark boots at the demo, like plastic boots, the Scarpers had just come out, you know, like the plastic stuff. And I mean, that was like the start of our friendship for life until he passed away 2 years ago. And so there's some really sweet memories with that too. But yeah, so it was all because of a demo, all because my dad said, hey, you need to go try this thing.
Nice.
And changed my life.
That's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Pretty cool. Now, when you started, did you start right out on plastic boots or were you on leathers?
I'm glad you asked. So I got plastic boots for that day. And from my Alpine background, I was like, okay, this seems natural, right? Other than the bellows were not natural, but everything else was natural. Then I had to go back to work and back to my normal skis and try and go, okay, now what do I do? because I just learned, I have to wait till next year to get my boots
Right.
when they come in stock. So I actually I had to go to REI and rent some leather boots, and then took my brother's skis that he used in Crescent Butte that he left after his year in Crescent Butte. He went to Minnesota and, went to school and all that stuff, got married, I took his skis, K2 gyrators, and had some Volet bindings on there, and just took them up the Mount Hood with leather boots, and just went and spent a couple days skiing and trying to learn how to make turns.
When you're on leather equipment, man, I learned on plastic boots and shaped skis, and but you know what? I wanted to get straight skis and leather boots. I grew up as a Nordic skier. And I had never heard of Telemark until, much later in life. I was 40. And it's like, you know what, I'll get these leather boots and stuff. And you know what, I learned you can't carve straight skis very much. You get this chatter. It's like blowing a tire, and
totally.
And I would teach on Wednesday nights, and I had this one client. He had never been on plastic boots. So he came out on plastic boots. He rented them from our fleet, had a good time. He says, I love this, but I'd really like to take lessons on my leather equipment. Can you do that? And I was like, yeah, only if I can use my leather equipment. So he says, yeah. So the next week I gave a lesson in modern equipment. And then 10 minutes later, I had to switch over to leather boots and straight skis. And you know how they say instructors are never supposed to fall? That was
well, I'm a bad instructor.
Well, I always say if you're not falling, you ain't trying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So after a couple of falls, it's like, right, okay, you gotta smoosh the turn and yeah. So it was I like getting
squeeze
out
that
there.
melon, man. Squeeze that melon.
Yeah. I know Josh Madsen. He's quite a proficient skier on leather boots and straight skis. Oh my goodness.
He is.
He just
definitely. I've seen it in person.
Yeah, it's crazy. So we've been talking a little bit about Telemark. Maybe you could give us a little bit of a history of when you went to Norway.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, so I grew up going to Norway. So with my dad, one great thing about my dad and his dad, I mean, he was born and raised there. So all of his brothers and sisters and all the family was there, and all the cousins and you name it. So, so thankfully my dad kept that tradition alive. For years it was, because we had 4 boys, my dad would take 2 of us at a time. So usually it was my twin brother Sven and I, and then my brother Jeff and JP would go. But at some point, people started getting tired of going to Norway, which is insane if you think about it. But so it started being me and my dad. My dad was like, so I'm going to Norway. You come with me? I'm like, yeah, of course I am. So yeah, I just went for years. And what was neat about that is we all have cousins that, I have cousins here in town I never talk to.
Right.
But I have cousins in Norway that I've literally have lived with for weeks, if not like a month at a time. And so that relationship is there. That's more than just a family relationship. It's a true deep friendship that you grow. So we're super blessed. I mean, we've gone on vacations together. We met my cousin Trond Vita and his wife Ruth Brigitte in Nice in South France, and spent a week together in France. And they've come here to America. That's a funny one because my cousin Tronny came, and it was a Friday night. Saturday morning, we were in the car to the Mount Ashland telemark race.
No way.
The Tele Lizard. So he was so jet lagged and so tired, but man, we had so much fun.
Nice.
And it was the first time I'd ever been, and so we didn't know you're supposed to wear costumes. I just didn't know because I'd never been before, right? It was. So I had like a Kiss Me I'm Norwegian t-shirt on, and I don't know what we did with him, but we both tried to figure something out.
Right. Cool.
Never made that mistake again. I had so many awesome costumes there.
Nice. Yeah. and talk about costumes. We're, cause this is gear, beer, and anything weird. So we're both enjoying some beer, and Jarl's drinking it out of his, what do you exactly call that?
Drinking horn. Viking drinking horn.
Yeah. And he's drinking. And what are you drinking from Ninkasi?
I'm drinking a Ninkasi Slayer Winter Ale. Nice. Super yummy.
And I've got a barrel-aged Doppelbock beer from Walkerville Brewery going on. Nice, dark,
yummy,
strong beer. What do you usually say about really strong beers? One and done?
It's good. One and done, right? Exactly.
That's how strong these are, yeah.
Yeah, especially if it's like a 10% beer. This isn't that high, thankfully.
Right.
But, yeah.
I heard a great story. I was picking up some wood because I'm going to be making a black walnut table. And the guy who had all the wood, he said he'd been playing hockey in the league, and there was a new guy on the team, and they went to a local brewery. The guy wasn't too familiar with craft beer, so he goes, well, bring me a Coors Light. And the lady said, we don't serve that here. He goes, well, bring me something like that then, that, you know. So when she brought all the beers, then she served him up a glass of water.
Yes. Oh, I'd love to be able to do that to somebody.
Just keep that in mind.
Totally.
Yeah. So on Jarl's drinking horn and on his ball cap, he's got a crest and sticker, Hoodoo Mountain or Hoodoo Ski Resort.
Yep.
So whereabouts is Hoodoo in relation to Eugene?
It's on the Santiam Pass on the way to Mount Bachelor or Bend. There's two ways to go. You can go past Willamette Pass on Highway 58, which is another ski area for us, or Hoodoo is on 126 or Santiam Pass. It's a really beautiful area. It's getting into that Eastern Oregon sort of feel of deserts, and we're right on the crest there where it goes into the desert land. Literally right past Hoodoo, you hit desert. So
that close.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
Yeah, I know. Can you just imagine in about 2 weeks from now, Sean and I would have been making our way out west to you guys.
Seriously.
Yeah. So hopefully,
it's a little sad.
Hopefully next year we can do this. Everybody's trips are on hold.
Totally.
Yeah.
We're ready for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm interested.
We have 32 RV spots at Hoodoo there, so it's.
That's what I was just going to say is RV Lane. So describe what RV Lane is like.
Oh, RV Row is what we call it,
okay.
And they do like chili cook-offs every year and all kinds of fun stuff. Normally, it's awesome. This year, because of COVID, it's definitely shut down most of the parties and the fun that happens on RV Row. But yeah, it's awesome. I mean, it's everything you'd want it to be in a winter environment like that. You literally can ski down the mountain and ski right to your trailer. Killer.
Nice. Now, how cold does it get at Hoodoo?
It's usually in the upper 20s in the middle of the night, and then it gets into the 30s during the day. Okay. Is the average.
Yep. Yeah, because a lot of the ski resorts up here, it's like, it's in the minuses.
Right. I remember one day with Finn, and Finn was maybe 4 or 5 years old, and it was one of those days at Hoodoo. And oh my gosh, we did like 3 runs, and then I looked down at Finn. You could just see it like, "Are you ready for hot cocoa?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm ready for hot cocoa." You could just hear it in his voice.
I've only had one day like that. Like most people who ski with me know that I generally just wear sunglasses. And I was skiing at Berg Mountain, the National Ski Academy. And it was so cold with the wind chill, it was minus 60. And I had something over my face, and I had my goggles on. Like it's cold when I'm dressed up like that. Yeah. And as we were going up,
wearing pants.
Yeah. And for people in podcast land, I wear shorts all the time. But I do put pants on when I'm snowshoeing or skiing or something like that, or working in construction.
Right.
But it was so cold riding that chair. You could just feel the cold wind on our back, just creeping right into your bones. It was crazy. And that was a 3-run day. Go have some hot chocolate and then back out for a couple more runs. Yeah. And I had a buddy who showed up who forgot his goggles. So he was skiing without goggles or sunglasses. So it's like, dude, I got an extra pair of goggles here. Use these.
Yeah. No, you can't. You'll freeze your eyeballs. That's not good.
That's right.
Not good.
Yeah. So as we're interviewing, or I'm interviewing Jarl, we're doing this through Facebook Messenger so we can see each other. And behind Jarl, this is how much of a ski fanatic he is. I actually see some skis that I have, those wooden skis over your left shoulder. So he's got a little museum going on. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your museum you have.
I just love skis, and I love collecting, especially unique skis. I love bindings, and I love just the history and all kinds of fun stuff. So, gosh, I've got a pair of Phil Mayer's race skis from the Olympics. Like, I actually confirmed with him. I actually sent him messages back and forth, and sent him photos. And he's like, "Yep, those were definitely my race skis from the Olympics."
Wow, that's crazy.
So these K2s, which you can't see at the moment, but
Right.
I've got Howard heads. So the first skis he made were all aluminum top sheets
Right.
because that's what he knew how to use, right?
Right.
He didn't know how to work with wood, and and most of those broke. So this is a super rare ski because almost every single one of these broke, and this is where the head standard was born out of, was this metal top sheet ski that
Wow.
almost none survived.
Right. Right.
So it's a fun kind of piece of that history.
Right.
Uh,
I see
for
lots
our
of
own-
wood skis with the rat trap cable binding.
Oh yeah.
I see a snurfer.
I have a snurfer, yes.
And for those people who
have
don't know what a snurfer is, it's it almost looks like a short water ski, a little wider, and it's got a rope on it, right? And you hang on to it on the way down.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
It's got staples in it, so you can stand on the staples to hold your feet in place.
Yeah. You know what? Jarl's holding it up right now. It's not much larger than a skateboard, longboard.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the vintage on that?
This would be 60s.
Wow.
Yeah. Crazy to imagine,
Yeah, I know. I've been to the Burton factory outlet in Vermont, in Burlington, Vermont, and they have some of Jake Burton's early snowboards.
Oh,
It's
that'd be
crazy.
cool.
Oh yeah, and they look just like that snurfer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shop has a few of those because Ryan's collected those through the years.
Oh, cool.
Bought them or wherever he got them all from. But yeah, no, it's fun. It's fun to research the history and understand the different companies and weird skis like magnesium skis and just what the different ideas that people had through the years of how to design and build a ski.
Right.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and it's really crazy because if you know the history of skis and how the Norwegians, if like Sondre Norheim, how they were making shaped skis back in the 1860s.
Yeah,
and then
totally.
and then for some strange reason we went away from that into straight skis. I could understand the binding change because I always like to call what the alpine skiers use the safety binding because they didn't feel safe with a free heel, right?
No.
Yeah.
And birch was not the best material for making bindings. It just wasn't.
Yes.
Birch root.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I know. I was just listening to Josh Madsen's podcast this week, and he was talking, doing the historical stuff about telemark and the turn and where it came from and Sondre Norheim and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was. I learned a few more things from him.
I don't use my lurk correctly, according to at least Sondre and the way he used it, but oh well. I'm happy with it.
I use, and for people who don't know what a lurk is, it's a long single ski pole. And the northern tribes used to use it to propel themselves along. Because from what I've read, is that it was like a pike, because that's how they would hunt their food in the winter, because they were more mobile than the animals trying to get through the deep snow. So they were able to ski upon them, stab them, and they found it as a good device to help propel them through the forest. And then from what I've read, it was the Finns who said, why don't we break this in half and make two poles? I don't know if you know anything about when the two-pole skiing technique came along.
That was up until like the mid 1800s. That was still not totally accepted in like ski racing in Christiania and other parts of Norway, in Tromsø and stuff like that. Yeah, there were like disagreements on whether you were allowed to even race with two poles versus a single pole.
Really?
And it wasn't allowed in certain races. Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow. I know. I think when you were doing your presentation to the Sons of Norway Lodge, Tamberley Freeman, we were talking about the lurks, and I showed a picture of the U.S. ski team. I think I sent it to both you and her. And back in the late 1800s, and there they are with like these 5 or 6 foot lurks.
For sure.
Yeah.
The Norwegian military, it was nose to shoulder length was the legal size, the proper sizing for your lurk.
Okay.
And that was up until the mid 1900s.
Really? Huh.
So they still were used. I mean, they even still use a lurk at some places, but
Right. I wonder if they would use like the technique would be like when you're doing a single pole when you're Nordic skiing.
probably it makes sense.
Yeah.
You know,
Because my lurk is so long. I first got mine because I had broken my hand really badly skiing with our ski club at school. And so I was casted up. My 3 outer fingers were casted up, and just my index finger and my thumb were free. And I don't know how I got this guy's name, Matt Welsh from Maine, Pownell, Maine, and he made the telly stick, which was a fiberglass stick that came apart. And I think my lurk that I bought from him is about 8.5, 9 feet long.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I would be skiing with it, all my friends who are alpine snowboarders, they're like, "Okay, Keith, you go down first," because they said everybody just moved out of the way.
Totally.
And then they would drop in behind me. Yeah.
I first learned about the lurk. I really think it was Telemark Tips is where I first learned about the lurk because I'd never heard
maybe
of that.
That's where I did too. Yeah.
And I tried different like wooden sticks. I tried bamboo. I tried conduit of all things.
Oh, really?
I tried so many things. Conduit bent so quickly. I was like, oh nope, that's not going to work.
Right. Yeah. No,
I found this random bush at one of our rental properties, and it was like the perfect size, the perfect stiffness. Like it actually had some flex to it, and I've been using that ever since.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So
No idea.
my lurk comes apart so that it's easy transport up the ski lift.
That's nice.
Yeah, but I was we were going end of season doing something up at one of the resorts, and a buddy of mine said, "Hey, bring your lurk," because he had been racing in the Telemark World Cup in Norway a few years ago in Rjukan. I'm going to say it's got to be more than 10 years ago. Anyways, I said, "Oh, I don't have it." He goes, "Well, go outside and get a tree." So I went out in my sister's backyard because I was at her house that night, and I said, "Deb, what can I cut down out there?" She goes, "Oh, there's all these Norway maples. Help yourself." So that was pretty
nice.
appropriate. So I went out, got a Norway maple that's about 2.5 inches in diameter and about 8 feet long. Yeah.
Nice.
My favorite story is Dave and I are skiing with our lurks, and these 20-something snowboarders turn and look at us and go, "What are those?" And I was like, "We're the snowboard hunters." And they said, "Oh, you can't catch us." So they got on the chair ahead of us, and we caught them.
Nice.
Yeah. So whenever I'm awesome. Skiing and kids at ski hills and that they're in lessons and they look at me, and I'll go over and talk to them, and somebody always says, "What's that?" And I went, "I'm the snowboard hunter." I said, "If you don't like snowboarders, follow me. I'll clear your path." Yeah.
I'm amazed how many people actually don't how they don't see me every weekend with my lurk, and they're like, "Well, how do they not figure out that this weirdo is up here every weekend skiing with the same stick? What's not weird anymore?
Right.
It's normal."
Yeah. I actually use mine as a real good teaching device because I use mine on the outside of the turn, and so I was helping a friend, and he was having a hard time with the separation in the body. And I said, "Here, try my lurk." And as soon as he tried my lurk, boom, he got the technique, and he's like, "I got to get me one of these." So I hit my friend up, Matt, and got him a lurk.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
My wife got the lurk for at least a few turns this weekend.
Oh, really?
That was awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. She finally figured it out one of her last turns. She was like, "This is just too much to deal with." And so went back to ski poles.
Oh, right. But yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah. So you have a son, Finn?
I do.
And how old is Finn?
Yeah. Finn is 10 years old.
10 years old.
It's awesome.
Yeah. He's your best buddy, right?
He really is. I mean, in so many ways, he just is.
Yeah.
I love it. I love having a son. I love having a child, period. So it's great.
Yeah. And does he telemark?
Good question. He was spent almost 2 seasons on telemark gear because he had, long story short, he grew out of boots, and so, but I had telly boots for him, so he just put those on. He's like, "Oh, those are fine," and got into telly gear and went skate.
Nice.
He didn't do a whole lot of telly turns in that 1.5 or 2 years, but he would do a lot of where if we're on flats cruising, he would drop down into a telly tuck. So he had fun with it, and I never pushed it. I never forced him into it. He'd try telly turns from time to time because he'd just watch me and then try and do the same thing.
Right.
But it was great.
Yeah. I think that could be, a good hit for parents out there when they're trying to get kids to try some of the sports that they're doing is just don't push them in the sport. Just let them do it. Because I think we were following the same thread on the Telemark forum where somebody had talked about how do you get your kids to do telemark and that sort of stuff, and they were talking about it. And then, you know what, I had one daughter who is an alpine skier, a telemark skier. She's got freestyle snowboard, and then she used to race alpine snowboards. And my other daughter, she's a skier and she's a snowboard instructor. She had no interest in telemarking yet and we all Nordic ski too. When we're out Nordic skiing, there she is going down little hills trying to figure out how to do a telemark turn. You know, it's like, yeah, I'm not saying anything, but she's like, yeah. and then she's doing all these face plants, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been there, done that.
Right.
Totally been there, done that.
That's the advantage of telemark skiing. You get more quality face shots because you're closer to the ground.
You do. You do. All that powder in your face. It's awesome.
Yeah. Choking on snow.
Oh my gosh, man! When I first was learning to telemark ski, and powder was my nemesis.
Oh, really?
I could not ski powder. Oh, geez, it was so bad.
Right. I remember.
I got there eventually, but
yeah, I remember going and visiting Josh, and we hit the first day at Alta. It was like East Coast day. You know, hard pack, nice and sunny. The next day was powder over our boots. He says, "Oh, come with me." And so they take me in the trees, and they're like, "Oh, right, dude. You're on East Coast skis, man. You don't have big wide skis." And I had his skis. I bought the first pair of his switchblades that he made.
Oh, it's yeah, totally. Yeah.
So it's like, you know what? I'm cool. I'm going to do the granny way, and I'm just going to ride the groomers in this, like, you know, boot deep powder. You guys have fun in the trees, and we'd get to the bottom at the same time. It's like, yeah, I'm cool with that.
That works.
Yeah.
It totally works.
Yeah. And that was the first time I had ever wiped out and actually choked on snow. It's just like choking on water. It's crazy.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And their snow is so dry. It's just like
oh yeah,
suck it in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We don't have that good very often.
Oh no, what is yours, like cement?
No, Cascade concrete is what we call it. So, yep, slurpiness. We get some good days, but it's not that often.
Right. And then we have ice out here.
Right, exactly. The ice coast.
Yeah. There's a ski company out here, and I have some of their gear and stuff, and their company moniker is Born from Ice.
Nice.
Yeah.
I wore my Ski the East shirt today, actually.
Oh, did you?
The dress shirt with all the skiers on it.
Oh, did you?
I got that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
nice.
I wore that to work.
Oh, nice. All right, so getting back to your heritage, you belong to Sons of Norway. That's a lodge. So, yeah, give us a little bit of detail about that.
Yeah, well, and even crazier is some people actually nominated me for vice president of the lodge this year, so I'm technically the vice president now.
Is that why you were running that meeting when I dropped in to listen to your talk about telemark? No,
that was just one of our monthly meetings.
Oh, okay.
And I was the cultural presentation for that month.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. No, yeah. So my grandparents, so the Sons of Norway's been around for 125 years, and it started actually as we'll call it an insurance company for a better way. No, there's no better way to say it really, for Norwegian immigrants, to help each other out, right? When things were hard and they needed insurance, that let's be a bunch of Norwegians and help each other. And then through that, the lodges started, and it became a fraternal organization. And so move forward to 1938 when we decided to start our lodge in Eugene, Oregon. My grandparents had just gotten married, and so they helped charter the first Sons of Norway Lodge, the Sonia Lodge here in Eugene, Oregon, and were involved, throughout their life. And I went to a few events with my grandma through the years, and then eventually I wanted to get more involved.
Right.
And so I joined as a member, and then my dad joined after me, which is hilarious. So I was a member first.
Right. But, so is Sons of Norway all across America or?
All across the world.
Really?
Yeah, we're all over the place.
Oh, wow. That's cool, man.
I feel like we have 80 or 90 lodges around the world, something like that.
Really?
Based in Minneapolis, but yeah.
Wow. Huh.
It's hard to imagine, but yeah.
Yeah. And so have they pretty much developed into cultural centers now?
They really are. I mean, our job is to keep the culture of it's funny because my cousins in Norway say we're more Norwegian than them,
Right.
because of some of the stuff we do at the lodge, but all the traditions and everything.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, no, our job is to kind of keep the culture alive, and those people that are from Norway to have a place where they can come and meet other people and care about that heritage and that family, and
Right.
Sing the songs and sing the dinner prayer and all those things.
Right. That sounds
really
like
fun.
up in Thunder Bay where Sean is from. There's a huge Finnish population, and a lot of the Finnish men would work out into the bush, and they'd come into town on weekends, and they would stay at the Hoito, and there'd be lodging. It was kind of like a YMCA, Finnish YMCA, and then there'd be a restaurant and a coffee shop downstairs. Make the best pancakes, these gigantic Finnish pancakes. Yeah, all across Canada. If you go to Thunder Bay, you talk about the Hoito, and people who've been there. Yeah, the Hoito, yes. Yeah.
Is it still there?
It has just closed down in the last year or two, unfortunately. Just like anything else, you don't have people who want to step forward and continue.
Yep.
The volunteers, right? It's always the same 4 or 5 people. You're slow. That's why you were nominated for vice president. Everybody said step forward, and everybody stepped back, and you were standing there, right?
Bingo. That is almost 100% it.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah, I know. I'm like that too. Or it's I haven't learned yet to keep my mouth shut.
Right. Totally. Well, no, I mean, the president of the lodge, we lost our vice president 2 years ago now. He died young. Our president's been without a vice president for 2 years. And finally I was like, if you need someone to step up,
right.
I see myself doing this 10 years from now.
Right.
I didn't see myself doing this right now. I'm not in that space.
Yeah.
But I said, you can't do this alone. If no one else is going to step up, I will step up.
Right.
And so no one else stepped up. So here I am. Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
I love it.
And they do all sorts of different crafts. And what was that? I was watching the lodge meeting that you were running, and they were handing out awards for the needlepoint and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the Handarbeit, the hand handiwork, awards.
Right.
Yeah, so we have woodworking. Normally we have woodworking. We have language classes. We have dance classes. We have art classes. Like Rose Mauling is one of the other classes that our president runs. We've got lots of fun stuff that happens. We're starting a Viking life class next month. So that all happens via Zoom.
Cool.
During COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
But outside of COVID, it would you guys would have meetings at the lodge?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
Okay.
We just moved everything online, and now we have happy hour every Friday.
Right.
So you can bring a drink of some sort and hang out with other lodge members.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
You figure it out, right?
Yeah. I know it'll be great when the COVID era is over.
I look forward to it.
Yeah.
I really do.
I know. Because one of the things we're going to talk about is how we actually met in person. When Sean and I retired, we went out west through Canada, came home through the U.S., and Sean and I met up with you and Janine and Finn at Mount Angel, the Oktoberfest.
You got it.
Yeah. What's my favorite song again?
Oh man, I wish I had that queued up right now because that'd be so great. Gotta have a little meal in your life.
Oh my gosh, every single
Caroline.
There
bum,
you go.
Bum, bum.
Every Oktoberfest band there played that song. Yeah,
multiple times.
Every
night.
Yeah. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And so every time, everybody would make a big fuss about the song. Still do.
And wherever I am in the world, I send it to you when I hear it.
Yeah, and I do the same thing to you.
Totally. It's awesome.
Yeah.
The song that you hated, now you can't lie and say that you actually like it.
Oh, well, I never hated it. It was just, again? Like, isn't there any other music?
I know, totally.
Yeah.
Germans, man, they're crazy people.
They are.
So my wife is born and raised in Germany.
Right.
That's where that connection comes from.
Okay.
That's why I own lederhosens and all kinds of other stuff.
I think you just like to dress up.
Well, hey, how did I lose a big air contest one year? I was in a kilt inside
Oh,
a spread eagle of the crowd. So, yes, indeed. I lost that year.
well, it's good that you wore the kilt regimental.
Yeah, there's only one way.
That's right.
Man, but don't fall on the race course. I had so many raspberries on my legs.
Oh, really?
One turn that was wrong, and I just went down. My skis let off from underneath me in the icy race course.
Yeah.
That wasn't pretty.
Oh, that would hurt. Yeah.
Yeah, it did. But I lived.
Yeah.
I went back to racing another day. That's the only racing I've ever done was telly.
Oh, really?
Never alpine.
Oh, yeah. I've never alpine raced. However, I have trained with alpine racers because there aren't any opportunities to practice telly racing.
Totally.
Yeah. Jarl's looking over the list of questions I sent him.
Like, what did you send me? Oh, yeah, free bikes for kids.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So when we were visiting Jarl, Eugene is a big cycling hub. So it's the home of Bike Friday. It's the home of Burley bicycles, Burley trailers, Commotion, because I ride Commotion bikes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's another reason to come back here.
Yeah.
So you can meet Dwan.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Totally. Go out on a ride with Dwan would be awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'd like that too.
So tell us about your bike organization you have for kids.
Yeah, so I sit on 3 boards of directors: Ski Oregon, Sons of Norway, and then Free Bikes for Kids. And Free Bikes for Kids is awesome because we, even in COVID era, which was definitely a huge shift for us on how to make this possible, we still got to give away 180 bikes or something like that this year.
Nice.
Just the Eugene chapter. It's based in Minneapolis, just like the Sons of Norway. They give away like 10,000 bikes in a year. It's insane. Wow. But we're a much smaller town, so I'll just say 170 is awesome or 180 is awesome. But we got about 230 bikes that were donated to us over a couple different events that we put together. One of the people that are on the board that I sit with is Dwan Shepard, who is the owner of Commotion, and is an amazing, amazing guy. And super thankful to be working with him because he's just so great. The other people who run the board are the owners of Burley.
Okay.
So they're the ones who started it. So the Eugene chapter, at least. And yeah, it's great. I mean, so how we do is we collect bikes. People donate bikes to us at different donation events.
Right.
And then we take them back and we do fix it nights where we fix them. So we do some fundraising to buy parts to bring these bikes back to life again, clean them up, get them running as close to new as possible. And then we turn around and then do the donation side of things, working with local nonprofits. And because we don't know all these kids, there's no way we could know all these kids.
Right.
So we work with a bunch of local nonprofits to get these bikes to the right kids, and get them to good homes.
Nice. And it's really interesting. I've seen some photos that you have to set up the workstations for people.
Oh my gosh.
During COVID.
For COVID.
Yes.
Well, so I was in charge of that. The good or bad, I lost my job this summer, and so I had the opportunity to run all of those events. And it was the biggest challenge ever, and I loved every minute of that challenge because I believe in science. I think it's important to be safe in all this,
right.
But we had work to do.
Yeah,
we still had kids that needed bikes,
right? And
so you figure it out, and we did. And it went really smoothly. It went really well. We had fun. I tried to make it fun because that was hard to do too because you couldn't be close to each other.
Right. So people who wouldn't know what Jarl was doing, where did you hold because he would enlist volunteers to come on certain nights. They'd have bicycle workstations for all the volunteers. They'd have to be spread out so many feet apart.
Oh,
yeah. So it looked like this big garage with individual bike workstations with a work stand and all that sort of stuff for people to be physically distanced safely and have a good time working. And didn't you have disco nights? Was there a disco ball one night?
I had music nights. I had movie nights. I set up a huge screen with projector to watch movies.
Right.
And Pee-wee's Big Adventure was on there for one. His bike got stolen, right?
Yeah,
the bike
exactly.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the key was to have it as fun as possible, and I think that worked out. I mean, I didn't think 6 feet was enough, so I made it more like 15 to 20 feet between each workstation.
Yeah.
But it all worked. Everyone wore masks. They were distanced. We got donated beer from Ninkasi, and so people had something good to drink when they could, and it was awesome. It worked out really good.
Nice. And how did the bikes get distributed to the kids?
We so actually mainly Dwan and I did most of that, and so we would work with the groups. We got everything laid out to what their needs were, so we knew there's going to be 15 kids bikes at this size, and so we made piles, and then we would take them, actually deliver them to the nonprofits.
Okay.
And then the nonprofits would then dole them out to the kids and make sure they had a helmet and a bike.
Right.
Our goal this year is to do a helmet, a bike, and a lock. So we're working on that right now and get that initiative going.
Nice.
Because we start again in March.
Oh, do you? Really? Wow.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, collection days in March to get the bikes to kids in June so they can use it all summer.
And where do you get your bikes from? People whose kids have outgrown bikes, or?
Exactly.
Okay.
Our moniker or whatever is turn dusty bikes into shiny smiles. So you got old bikes sitting in your garage, bring them to us. We don't care how old it is, how new it is.
Right.
Just bring it to us.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah. Well, as you can tell, Jarl's a pretty busy guy. Thankful that his wife has a full-time job working as a teacher.
Yep.
And
totally.
Everybody's being educated and doing the educating from home, right, out in Eugene.
Yep. Still, thankfully.
Yeah.
Thankfully.
It's a good thing Jarl is computer literate, because he's been able to set his son Finn up with the Wicked computer system, and Janine.
Totally.
With her computer system to help the kids.
Now I'm getting her student teacher set up with a second monitor.
No way.
That was today's job.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And her student teacher is probably working from her home or his home?
Exactly. Yep.
Wow. You imagine doing this
it work, right?
20 years ago or 25 years ago when the internet wasn't available?
It'd be impossible.
Yeah.
It'd be totally impossible.
Is that Finn coming in?
No, Janine.
Oh.
Janine.
She's coming to get you for supper?
Exactly.
All right. Well, we'll start closing this off, and I just want to thank Jarl Berg for great time. We used to do this every couple of weeks. We have to get back to doing that. I know you and I have videoed a couple of times this week, 3 times, I think. Video conference.
I know,
yeah,
totally.
I know it. Yeah. So, and when we used to do this with the telemark skiers, we had guys from Colorado, around Ontario. One night we had Anthony Hunter from Australia on here.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah. So we have to try and get back to that, because it's getting near the end of ski season in certain parts of the world. Right. Yeah. So anyways, I want to thank you very much for being a guest of the second episode of the Skippy Report. And
thank you. I appreciate it.
Look forward to visit you guys.
And live feed. I gotta get you on the when it's top of the mountain, so I can take you down the hill.
That's right. Yeah, last weekend, Jarl, because our ski resorts are closed here in Ontario. However, you can cross-country ski and snowshoe at resorts.
Yep.
But you can't downhill ski. So Jarl took me for a virtual ski down Hoodoo. All right. You have a great evening. Thanks, Jarl.
Thank you. You
Bye.
too. Have a great night.
Thanks for listening to the Skippy Report. Check back later in a couple of weeks for the next episode.